24/7. 24/7.
Bold Moves Radio.
Bold Moves Radio.
Afrika nakupenda sana. Oh, Afrika nakupenda sana.
You are listening to Bold Moves Radio. The show is Prudent Woman with myself. I am RHULANI BALOYI. I am your host. Thank you for joining us. Of course, all of you joining us on YouTube and all those who are joining us on Facebook would like to invite you to be part of this conversation as we continue to talk on matters that shall make us to be prudent women as women. Thank you. You can be part of the conversation by putting down your comments, your questions on the comments section. All of you who are listening to us via the Bold Moves radio streaming, you are welcome to be part of the conversation by sending through your questions to 081 358 8745. It's 081 358 8745. We'd like to say thank you for joining us. And of course, we come to you every Sunday from 4 o'clock up until 5 o'clock. This is Prudent Woman with myself. I am RHULANI BALOYI. I am your host. And today, as we always say, we spark conversation. We are going to have a wonderful conversation with two ladies, two young professionals who will be talking to us about matters which most of us we shy away from, most especially during this season. You know, most of us, we are aware of the 23rd of October, the date that have just passed, which was very important, most especially to income earners. I'm talking about our tax responsibility, making our tax returns. This is a topic that most of us we shy away from because we dread to do it, sometimes because we do not understand, but again, sometimes find that one has had a very bad experience. You know, once you make your submission, your returns, and you are requested to make payments because they're saying, starts saying that your tax liability, it's more than what you have already given them. So at times it tends to discourage one, but that is not good reason enough for you to stay away, because we say as prudent women, we are prudent and we are intentional about our decisions. So we take decisions which are well informed based on information. That's why we come together every Sunday looking out for professionals to come and teach us, to come and provide awareness for us on the different topics that we may see which are of interest. And this Sunday, basically because we've just had that close, and again, we're still in the grace period, we will be talking about tax issues. We have with us Sis Nhlanhla, and then we also have Sis Khanyisa. Both of them are tax specialists. Sis Khanyisa, and then Sis Nhlanhla, she is a tax practitioner. We will hear from them as we continue this conversation. What is it that they do? Sis Khanyisa and Sis Nhlanhla, welcome to Bold Moves Radio. I would like to invite you, Sis Nhlanhla, Sis Khanyisa, if you can take us through what is it that you do as a professional, just for our audience to fully understand what a tax specialist is all about. Ceci Khanyisa, I think your mic is muted. We cannot hear you. You've muted your mic. If you can unmute. Are you unmuted? You can hear me, but I can't hear you. I cannot hear you. Our technical team in the studio, Do you see what may be the problem with our guest, says Khanyisa? It's okay as you sort out, says Khanyisa, as we can't hear you at all. Can you, says Khanyisa, if you can log out and log in again. Just go out and come back. I'll go over to Nhlanhla. Nhlanhla, she's a text practitioner. Nhlanhla, thank you for joining us on Bold Moves Radio. As you greet our audience, please tell them, what does a text practitioner do?
Hello everyone, my name is Nhlanhla Shiburi. I'm a text practitioner. The text practitioner reviews and prepare returns for individual and for companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Nhlanhla. I understand, when you talk to those who work with numbers, they are people of few words.
Yeah.
So I will understand, Nhlanhla, she just said, they review tax issues. But
Okay.
if you can just elaborate, what are you talking about when you talk about reviewing tax issues?
Oh, okay. As an employee, you get tax on your payslip. You see there's a tax, but it's pay as you earn, and you ask yourself, what is this? So basically, we are reconciling, like when we review and the tax returns, we are basically reconciling what SARS has and what the employer had submitted to SARS. And with companies, it will be like, let's say I have a company and SARS now they want me to submit returns and I don't understand what is return. So it's basically what you have received, which is an income, less all your expenses, how much you are left with as a director of the company. Then on that behalf, you must submit something to SARS, which is the 27% of the profit. So that's what we basically do, reconciling those things for the company and for the individual. So I don't know if...
Thank you so much, sister. Yeah, no, I think that suffices. As we continue with the conversation, I trust that our listeners and our viewers will fully understand what tax issues are all about. Says Khanyisa, you are back?
Yes, please tell me you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear now.
Great,
Thank you
great.
so much for joining us on
Yeah.
Bold Move Radio on the Prudent Woman Show. Thank you for being with us. As you greet our audience, please just go ahead and tell us, what does a tax specialist does?
Thanks, RHULANI. Thanks again for the platform. And I'd like to greet the listeners. So my name is Khanyisa Makhubela, and I am a tax specialist and also a tax practitioner. So I'm actually both, but then I can just like explain what the difference is and what I do. So as a tax specialist, it's just a tax profession, and I'm employed by a company, a mining company. And what I do on a day-to-day in my job, I handle all the tax-related matters for the company to ensure that they are compliant, and I manage all the tax risk, and then I ensure that all the taxes are correctly calculated and then correctly disclosed in the financial statements. So I'm focused on corporate taxes, which is company taxes, right? So you'd find that there are tax specialists who focus on individuals, like who submit returns for individuals and who do taxes for individuals. But I specialize in corporate taxes. So that's
Thank you so
my
much.
introduction.
That's what a tax specialist is all about. So at this point in time, we now understand your professions. But
Yes.
I think someone there is asking themselves, we're talking tax. What is it? Basically, one that can say, what is tax? If someone was to ask and say, what is tax? What will you say, Sis Khanyisa?
Tax is such a broad concept. Okay, so let's start with income tax. With income tax, you would have income tax for companies, you have income tax for individuals, you have income tax for trusts. So I'll just cap it at that. So for companies, income tax is the tax that is charged on a company's tax profits. Okay, so you are company ABC, you are trading, you are making income. So what you do is that when you calculate your taxes, you take your income, you less your expenses, which are your deductions, and then you get to a tax profit and you calculate it at 27%. And that's what you pay over to source. Okay. With individuals, your taxes, let's just talk about a salaried person. Like this is a person who just works, they don't have any other businesses. How it works with them, income tax for them is that they're taxed on their earnings from their employers, which is their salaries. Okay. So you have a salary that you receive from your employer, and then you have your deductions like your medical aid, your pension fund, your UIF, and everything, and then you calculate your taxes based on that. So for individual taxes, it's called pay as you earn because you literally tax on what you earn. I don't know if that answers the question. Whereas with the company, you are taxed, there's a standard rate of 27%. And with individuals who are like salaried employees, you are taxed based on a table. So there's a table that will show you that if you earn 100 Rand to 200, for example, you are taxed at like 2%. If you earn so much and this much, you are taxed at this rate. So that is your pay as you earn. And I think most people or our listeners would relate more to this kind of tax, the pay as you earn.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. That truly explains, and I think our listeners understand now what is tax, because you're putting it in terms of percentages and a whole lot of things. And now we understand that it's the money is a percentage that we have to give over to SARS,
Yeah.
to
So
the to the to the revenue collector.
yes. So just to jump in there, like I feel like I should just like use layman's terms because I don't
Yes.
think everyone understand or they're aware of some of the concepts. So SARS, it stands for South African Revenue Services, which is basically the revenue authorities of South Africa, and they are the tax collectors. They act as the tax collectors, and what they do is they collect the tax. And people may wonder, what do they do with the money? Like, do they take the money and what do they do with it? You know. So what
That's
they do,
exactly where I was coming to, because I wanted us to get to that, because in most cases, what discourages people, it's not understanding what is the objective of
yes,
the actions that they're supposed to do. And
yes,
I would like to believe, should we fully understand what our taxes are all about, it's easier for you to comply,
definitely.
fully understand. And that is the most important thing. What is the use of us paying tax, more especially as a citizen of a country? What is the benefit?
Okay, so the benefit, so I understand it's important to understand why you're paying taxes because I mean, you look at your payslip, there's this amount every month that goes out. You ask, where is it going? It says pay as you earn. Where is it going? What is it? What does it benefit me with? Right? So what tax does, it's a revenue to the state or the government of South Africa. So it's one of the revenue streams because, I mean, these hospitals that we have, the roads that we have, the government schools, everything, all the service deliveries, the infrastructure, where does the money come from? The money comes from that. That's basically it. It's
So
basically for the service delivery for the people in South Africa.
we are collecting money together as
Yes,
citizens and saying
correct.
for the development, and again for the regulations of our activities as a nation.
For the country, we're basically doing it for ourselves.
For ourselves, yes.
Yes,
That's very
Yes.
important, because should we understand that, we will know that it's important. And
correct.
unfortunately, your tax liability does not go with either those whom you have put in positions of authority are accountable or not, but it
Yeah,
just has to be done. That is a law. It is
it's the
given,
law.
and
Tax is law.
Yes.
you can never run away from it. Sesi Nhlanhla, in this show, I desire for us to mainly focus on income tax, which is the reason for me to say let us focus on that is because that is the one that we've just had the deadline, and that is the one that now we are on a grace period, and I want us to start there. And on later shows, we'll talk about other types of taxes with the
Sure.
understanding that the prudent women are not only income earners, but they are over and above other issues. But just as in a glimpse, I know you have explained, says Khanyisa, when you were talking about what tax is in passing, but I just want us just in a glimpse to
Yeah.
explain the different types of taxes. You can help each other in just giving the outline of the different types of taxes. But later, after we've gone on an ad break, we'll come back and now we will zoom into income tax.
Okay. I can take that one. So we have vast majority, like different taxes, okay, that applies to different people, different companies, okay. So let's start with the easy one, VAT, the value added tax. This tax is for basically everyone. You go to Pick and Pay to buy your groceries, you see the VAT line there, 15%. So that is based on a transaction. So that affects everyone. So for everything that you buy, you pay 15% over to SARS. So that money that Pick and Pay, so when Pick and Pay collects that money, that's not their money. They pay it over to SARS. That's what happens. So that's what value added tax is. And with value added tax, you'd have like zero rated supplies, which means those supplies are taxed at 0%. In ultimately there's no VAT on it. Okay, your petrol, that's the example. Like I'm sure when you go fill in your tank, like your diesel or your petrol, there's no VAT there because it's zero rated. Okay, and we have exempt supplies, and then so for zero rated as well, you would have your basic foods. Okay, your basic, like your bread, your brown bread, your rice, your maize meal. There's no VAT in that because for the basic stuff. So that is the VAT that people see in their receipts. It's collected and it's paid over to SARS. So a Pick and Pay just act as a messenger, for example. Okay. Okay. The second one, I'll just go into details for the ones that are very relevant for the show because, like I said, it's a lot of them, and I don't want to confuse people with the technicalities. Okay, so we have your pay as you earn. This is the one that I explained that this is for salaried people. You are employed with company ABC, and by virtue of being an employee, the employer is a messenger for SARS to collect that tax. That's what you see in your pay slip as pay as you earn. That is paid every month to SARS. Okay, and then we're going to delve into detail when we come back from break, like you said. We have estate duty tax. The estate duty tax is tax on the deceased person. So yes, when you die, you still pay tax for the remainder of the tax year. Okay, so with the tax year, so people understand, individuals' tax year run from 1st of March to 28th of February. So for example, now we're looking at 2023 tax year, which runs from 1st of February, 1st of March 2022 until 28th of February 2023. Does that make sense? So when I refer to a tax year for an individual, that's what I'm referring to, March to February.
Okay.
So with how the estate duty tax work is that, let's say you pass away in June, right? So which means there's July until February that's left in the tax year. So you'd pay that as an estate duty. That's what the estate duty would be paid on. That's what estate duty is. You have capital gains tax. Capital gains tax is the tax that you pay on capital assets. Okay. And what's more relevant now for the listeners is primary residence, your home, the home that you own. If you sell that house, there is taxes that's triggered. I don't know if people are aware of that, but then there's a certain threshold that if you make these capital gains, then you don't pay tax. So in this case, if your capital gains is less than 2 million, then you don't pay tax. Anything over 2 million, that's what you paid. You pay capital gains tax on. So listeners should be aware of the primary residence, the capital gains tax on primary residence. Yeah, that I don't know if you wanna add anything to that, but those are the core taxes that like we would apply to the listeners.
Okay. Says Nhlanhla, do you wish to add anything there?
Yes, I think even I would like to add dividends tax. Maybe there's people who have shares.
Yeah.
They also need to pay tax on dividends. The dividends that the company pays out, it must be less tax on it. And there's also donation tax.
Mm,
When you donate, there's certain, because they're avoiding like people saying I've donated because they're avoiding tax. So there will be tax on donation,
okay.
because like we'll be donating, everyone would like to donate because we want to avoid tax. So there's also donation tax that SARS have imposed, that if you donate, you must pay a portion to SARS. Yeah, so I think that will be covered for the individual, like, and companies.
Yes. Thank you so much. You see, this tells us there's a whole lot of taxes that we are liable to pay as citizens or anyone who is in the country. And as we said, there is no way out of this one. It's a must, it's a law. So as long as you are doing business, as long as you are based in the country, you have to pay all these different taxes. What worried me is even understanding that upon my death, when I'm no more, I'm still liable to pay tax.
Yes.
That one is painful. And it said to me, this is a very important topic to talk about. We
Yeah.
need to fully understand it, because things that can affect you when you are no more there, it means if you have not been intentional about the decisions that you were making around the issue, you are passing it on to your loved ones. And I don't think any of us wishes to pass on in this life and have their loved ones in a state which is not desirable. We wish to leave our loved ones in a better position when we leave, so that their memories can be cherishable memories. So if you ignore taxes, you should know that you are going to leave a memory that is not pleasant for your loved ones. And that is not what a prudent woman does. I would like us to go on an ad break. When we come back, of course, the time is not enough. It's never enough, as Nhlanhla and says Khanyisa, because when we have professionals, as women, we talk and we've got issues that we want to know.
Yeah.
And I've got questions from the listeners that they wish to understand what income tax is basically all about. And one thing that is very important, how can I try to make sure that I my burden it's minimized? So I would like us to take more time and talk about that, more especially for those who are salaried people, because we may not be able to finish everything. So let us go on an ad break. When we come back, we'll zoom into income tax. You are listening to Bold Moves Radio. The show is Prudent Woman with myself. I'm RHULANI Baloyi. I am your host. Today we are talking on a very important subject, that is tax issues. It's important, but it's something that most of us wishes to shy away from or do away with. But unfortunately, we cannot run away from it. We need to be in compliance with the government. And we understood before we went on an ad break how important taxes, paying your tax liability is, because that is what will bring in development in a nation. Thank you so much to our guests. That is Nhlanhla and Khanyisa, a tax practitioner and a tax specialist, who are here to help us understand tax issues. And for today, we are focusing mainly on income tax. Says Khanyisa, um, just before we went on an ad break, we were
Yeah.
talking about the tax year. You've said for income earners, it's from the 1st of March up until the 28th of February, each and every year. That is their calendar. But I wish for you to explain. We are expected to file. And if it's an obligation and they're taking away this money, why am I expected to do my filing when that tax year ends?
Okay. So like I'll just go through I'll just call it the tax cycle of actually what happens from before you file and why you file. Okay.
Mm,
So let's say I join a company on the 1st of March 2022. Okay,
mm,
like let's say that's my first job.
mm,
So by virtue of that, I'll have to like register on e-filing as a taxpayer and I'll have to
mm,
file my returns. Okay. What happens on a monthly, like I said, there's a pay slip. An employer withholds tax
mm,
from your income and pays it over to SARS,
mm,
right? That happens on a monthly basis
mm,
until, let's say, the tax year until like February 2023. Okay. And then now SARS would open like the filing season, which opens, let's say, around July. It opens around July and it closes on the 23rd of October.
mm.
So what filing a return is you are submitting your your tax calculation basically to SARS.
Okay.
Okay, to say, okay, this is what I earned in my tax year, these were the deductions, this is the tax that the employer was withholding from my income. What is
Mm,
the difference between what my employer has been paying every month and
mm.
what SARS calculates after submission?
Okay.
Okay, and just to take a step back, people need
Mm,
to understand the definition or the concept of an IRP5.
mm,
Okay, an IRP5 is issued by an employer to an employee, and what it basically is, it's a summary of your income and your deductions for the employment. So you'll have like it's a summary of your pay slips, basically your 12 months pay slips. It's summed up
mm,
into one document, which is called an IRP5. It'll say that in that year you earned 100 rand, you deducted pension of 20 rand, you deducted medical aid of 15 rand, you had UIF of so much, you had this and this and this, and your pay you earned was that. Okay,
mm,
so
mm,
when you log in onto your e-filing to submit your return, that's what you're gonna find. And in most cases, it's pre-populated because SARS has access to these things.
yeah.
Like schools have eyes and ears everywhere. You're not gonna
Mm,
cheat the system. Okay, you're not gonna say, "Oh, I'm gonna lie about what I earn. I'll just say I earn 100 rand when you actually earn 150." It doesn't work
mm,
like that. They already have that information, and based on that information, they're gonna calculate that the tax for that tax year is 100 rand, for example. Okay,
mm, mm,
and you find that on a monthly basis, your employer was paid 80 rand in total, which means the employer underpaid. So that
mm,
difference between the 80 and 100, which is the 20, it's payable when you submit the return. That's why there's a payable and there's a refundable.
mm,
So it's
mm,
either you owe SARS or SARS owes you. If what you paid on a monthly basis is more than what SARS calculated, then there's a refund
mm,
if there's any
mm,
overpaid taxes. So that's how it actually works. You, as a taxpayer, you have an obligation to submit your return, and that's by law.
mm, mm.
Yes.
With what we have just said, it says to my mind that it's actually a good thing. You are given an opportunity to say reconcile. We don't want to have taken a decision on your behalf without
Correct.
you getting an opportunity to say, this is my situation. And so, with that understanding, it can make one say, look forward to that because it will help to reconcile. So you are given an opportunity. But I would like us to go, says Nhlanhla, you know, what happens now if I not file?
Okay, so what happened is if you do not file, like SARS will put penalty on you. Like there will be penalties that you have to pay because you didn't file. And remember, sometimes you don't file, but then you find that SARS have to refund you. Like you have a medical aid, but then SARS is not aware that you have a medical aid. And there's actually a benefit having a medical aid because there's some deduction that SARS allows you to have when you have a medical aid. So it's very important that people file their returns because you find that you have money that SARS is owing you. You don't have to pay SARS. And again, let's say, as Khanyisa has already said, that when the tax season is from the tax period is from 1 March to 28 February. Let's say I get a job in October, and now the salary is too high. It means I'm changing the bracket, the tax bracket, as like SARS use a tax table. Like there's a tax table that SARS uses to calculate tax. So if I change a job in October, it means now I'm earning a lot from October to 28 February. So which means SARS basically he will have to owe me something because SARS they annualize their calculations. They don't calculate on a monthly. They do.
Annual.
That's why they have to refund us or we have to pay them because they calculate on annually. And when you change a job, it means now the bracket have shifted. So that's why you find that when you have a new job, you ask yourself, why SARS now is owing me? It's because now you are no longer on that. But let's say you were on 220,000 per annum, but now you are on 400. Obviously, you won't be falling on that bracket. That's where SARS owes people, and then they don't understand why, or they didn't know. SARS didn't know that I have a medical aid. And then now when you submit your return, SARS will be aware because you have to put your details there that, okay, I have a medical aid. And then you put the supporting document to SARS that this is the proof that I have a medical aid. And then even investment, most people have tax-free investment or investment that SARS are not aware. You have to disclose to SARS that I have this investment because the investment companies like banks, they send you a tax certificate if you have the investment with them. So that is a to SARS that this is the investment. So you put those things there on your returns so that you can get your refund from SARS.
Thank you so much. And
Yes.
I see a question here. Someone asking, do we have people who are exempted from filing their tax returns?
So, okay. So
Yeah.
I wanted,
Can you
so
answer
before I
that,
answered that question,
Khanyisa?
I just wanted to like add on what Nhlanhla said, like in terms of the consequences of not filing the return, and then I'll get to the question. So,
Okay.
like she said, you get penalized on if you have an outstanding return, and the penalty is like 250 a month for the time that the return is outstanding, right? And you'd find that, for example, you did not submit your return and you actually owe SARS, but you wouldn't know because you did not submit your return. And when you owe SARS money and you're not paying on the due date, there's interest on that amount, which means what you owe in SARS is growing. So it's advisable that people file on time. And when you owe SARS, you can't be like, oh, I owe them, they can't touch me. They'll just the liability will keep growing. What SARS can do is they can issue, it's called a garnishee order, where they go to your employer, they send a letter to your employer and say, Khanyisa owes us 10,000. Please deduct it from her salary. Or they can go to my bank, or I use ABSA for example, they go to ABSA and say, Khanyisa owes us 10,000. Please deduct 5,000 a month until she pays that. So they have they can do that actually. So now you don't want to be sitting there, your salary comes and it's like 5,000 less. No, you can't dispute that. So it's very important that people do file their returns on time and they pay what they owe on time.
Okay. So it's important to file to avoid the 250 a month and the interest. Should you be owing SARS? Do they pay you interest if they are the ones owing you?
Yes, they do. They do.
Or
So let's
they
say
interest there.
there is interest
Okay.
that they can give you. Let's say they owe you a refund and they're just withholding it and not paying it for
Mm.
what, like for no reason. For example, let's say they sit with that money for like a year or so, that money grows. Because remember, there's like a time value of money. 100
Mm.
rand today is not 100 rand in the next month. So
Mm.
that's why the interest component comes in. So they are fair in that regard.
Okay. Thank you. So let us go to the question of our viewers asking, are the people who are exempted from filing?
Um, so as an individual who is less than 65 years of age, if you earn a salary of 91,250 per annum or less, you don't have an obligation to file your return. If
Okay.
you're 65 and above, the threshold is 141,250 per annum. If it's less than that, you don't have to file a return. And then for 75 and above, it's 157,900 threshold. And below that, you don't have to file a return.
Okay. Oh, so there are those who are exempted from paying that, from filing. They are not exempted from paying, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, even your tax liability won't be there because of the bracket. That 91,250, when you
Mm.
apply, like when you look at the bracket, you see that that person is not liable for tax.
Okay. Thank you. I think we are getting learned and understand that this is not a monster that we need to run away from, but it's something that helps us. The interaction that we are supposed to have with SARS or filing, it's actually an interaction that helps us to make sure that our things are in order. I would like us to go on an ad break. When we come back, we shall now zoom into what is it that I have to declare to SARS? For instance, we as women, we hustle, we have side business,
Yeah.
and at times you find that we get mistaken and think I do not have to pay tax. So we want to hear it from this specialist today to explain to us that how our side hustles affect our tax liability. Let us go on an ad break. We'll be right back with you.
Are you ready for the ultimate dietary powerhouse? Look no further than Masana Dietitian's Nutro Boost. Our scientifically formulated low GI food is designed to give you the boost you need to fuel your body and reach your health goals. With NutriBoost, you have the flexibility to enjoy it as a high-fiber cereal or a satisfying shake. Simply mix it with water and indulge in the mouth-watering flavors that we have to offer. But that's not all. NutriBoost is packed with essential nutrients that are beneficial for your overall well-being. Enriched with 20 immune-boosting vitamins and minerals, it's a convenient and effective way to support your immune system. And here's the best part. NutriBoost is gluten-free, egg-free, and high in omega-3, making it suitable for those with dietary restrictions or allergies. Need an energy boost? NutriBoost has you covered. It's high in energy and protein, providing you with the fuel you need to power through your day. Whether it's a busy morning or an intense workout session, say goodbye to midday slumps and hello to sustained energy with NutriBoost. Try it today and experience the difference. For orders or to become a distributor, contact us on the following details.
You are listening to Bold Moves Radio. The show is Prudent Woman with myself. I am RHULANI Baloyi. I am your host. We talk to Sis Nhlanhla and Sis Khanyisa this afternoon, a tax practitioner and a tax specialist. They are talking to us about matters which are very important, which is tax. And we have learned before we went on a break that it's a good thing to have an opportunity to do your filing. So let us look forward to do our filing because it helps us to put our house in order so that you don't find yourself receiving penalties or getting charged interest on amounts that you owe. And again, not finding yourself not receiving that which SARS will have given you because you are running away from it and saying it's a monster. So today we are talking about this things so that we can make intentional decisions as prudent women. Thank you so much for joining us. And as we continue with our conversation, we spoke about side hustles. How does the income that we receive as side hustle impact our tax liabilities?
Um, so I can take that as well. So it's very important to declare everything to SARS, disclose everything to SARS, because a lot of people think SARS won't know about this. Like I said, SARS have eyes and ears everywhere. And like I said, I mean, they can actually instruct a bank to say withhold money from this person, which means they have access to your bank statements and everything else that you think they do not see. So for that, those side hustles, let's say you have like a salon on the side or you're doing something on the side, I would advise for you to declare it than for SARS to actually find out themselves, because another thing that people need to understand is that let's say you don't disclose, right? It's seen as fraud because you deceived SARS. Okay.
Okay.
And it won't just end in like, oh, they're just going to penalize you or there's just going to be interest. Some SARS cases can turn into a criminal case where you can be jailed. So people need to be aware of that you can actually go to jail because of tax fraud. So very important to be compliant. Okay. Another thing I want to add with regards to side hustles is that remember I said if you're just like a salaried person, you only have like salary, your employer pays your tax, your pays you earn on a monthly basis. But then now you ask yourself, how do I pay taxes on, let's say, my side hustle? Let's say I own a salon. Okay. What you do for that, you have to register as a provisional taxpayer.
Okay.
Okay. So you have to register so anyone who earns money that is like over and above a salary, for example, like I said, or you're earning rental, or you're owning a salon, you have to register as a provisional taxpayer. And how it works as a provisional taxpayer is that every 6 months you have to pay your provisional taxes.
Okay.
So the 6 months of the tax year. Meaning that your tax year starts on the 31st of March. So March, April, May, June, July, August, you have to submit your first provisional tax and pay whatever is due. Okay. And then September till February, that's your second provisional. You submit the second provisional tax and you pay whatever is due to SARS. And then upon assessment, by assessment, I mean now when you submit like your annual tax return, which is what is happening now, then you assess whether you overpaid or underpaid. That's when you have a payable or you have a refundable. But it's important for people to know that if you have a business on the side, please register as a provisional taxpayer. That's how you're going to disclose your taxes for the side hustles.
What a useful information you are giving to us, because sometimes these things tends to even discourage us from having side hustles. Someone saying, because I had the side hustle, the next thing we're in the same position, we earn the same amount, but when I was returning my return, I was told that I've got a payable, and only to find that SARS went into the bank and check and find all those things. And should you have done it correctly, you will have been able to manage your situation, because this tax that we're talking about, I would like to believe to our tax practitioner and our tax specialist, these are part of the costs of doing business. If you're doing a side hustle, then you are able to price your products correctly because you are now informed. I see here says Nhlanhla asking that because we're talking about the tax season closing on the 23rd of October. She's asking, but am I able to pay even if it's closed? So even after the closing of the tax return season, can one still be able to do the filing and pay whatever that is payable from their side?
Yes. You can pay, you
Yes.
can submit and pay anytime.
Okay, so it's just that the penalties that we spoke about, that will become a problem for you, because then they will be charging the penalties on a monthly basis.
And you have to
But
pay for those.
but otherwise, all is well. Another tax, another thing that I know discourages more especially us as women, besides the side hustle, when it comes to tax, what happens? I'll give an example of someone who has lost a partner and they are receiving income from their partner's pension. How does it affect my tax liability?
Do you want to take that or should I take it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can address that. So if your husband die or your wife dies and you get a monthly pension, that should also be taxable on a monthly basis. So I don't know what you want to know, Guru. Why should it be
Yes,
taxable
how
or
does SARS consider it? Is it now considered to be part of my income? Because I would have thought when my
yes?
partner died, remember that text that you spoke about? Is it not part of that? And then I'm done.
No, yeah, it's part of your income. You can't be done. You need to, because you'll be receiving that on a monthly basis, and SARS is aware that you
Mm.
are getting this from what is that government institution? Is GMP
GEPF.
what?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, that one. So you see, they are linked. This thing are linked. So they are, and the threshold also is the guidance of them. Okay, maybe she's getting 10,000 a month. So the threshold allows us to take something from that income.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yes.
You know,
So it also depends on the threshold.
because these things tends
Yes.
to discourage most people. You hear someone who has lost a partner saying, "Now every year I'm having a payable that I must give back to SARS," and I would like to believe, should they consult people like yourselves, professional like yourselves, you will be able to help in analyzing these things and
Yeah.
they have the correct expectation, because it's all about expectations. You see, when I receive money and I think I've got this money, and at the end of the day then the revenue services wants a share of money that I did not anticipate they will want,
Yeah.
usually I've already spent the money, because
Yes.
we spend as the money comes in, and our standard of living is raised as and when I have more that is coming in. So it tends to be a challenge. Now, here is a question from one of our listeners. You know, at times, uh, although we don't understand what makes it to be, and would like to hear it from you as professionals,
Mm.
I you find that I just believe my tax liability is too high. Not even at the time when I'm doing the assessment, but on a monthly basis. You look at your pay slip and feel like, no, they're robbing me. What will you like to say about that? How do they calculate the tax liabilities?
So, so I mean, I think everyone, it's fair to say that everyone thinks the tax is high. Like every month you open your payslip, you're like,
Yeah.
sure, the money that I'm paying over to SARS, like
Mm,
you always feel like it's high. So
mm,
companies, employers, for example, they have their own tax professionals or the
mm,
payroll team, which does this calculation. So
mm,
unfortunately, on a monthly basis, and as and when it's paid, you can't go to SARS and be like, I'm paying so much. I mean, you can consult with your employer to show
mm,
you how they do the calculation and for you to understand that. Okay. But then
mm,
if, like I said, if you overpaid the taxes, like on assessment, then you're gonna
mm.
get a refund. But it can't be just the feeling thing like, oh, I just feel like it's a lot. Like I
Right.
said, it's pay as you earn. It's a
Mm,
lot
mm,
because you're earning a lot. So because of that, then you pay a lot.
mm,
So I would advise people if they need more clarity on how the tax is calculated, you go speak to HR, payroll rather. They'll show you
mm.
how it's done. And then
Okay.
if the payroll overpaid, then on assessment, that's where you'll get your refund.
Okay. So
Yeah.
there's a recourse for all these things. Thank you very much. You know, the
Yes.
information that you're giving unto us helps us to understand that it's not something that I must run away and hide away from, because it looks like it's a fair process. There are recourses along the way as you continue with the whole process of being a responsible taxpayer. As we draw close to the end of the show, and of course, I understand we could not exhaust all the questions, that our viewers and our listeners have, and even the topic. But as we always say, as Prudent Woman, we spark conversations. And I would like to believe those who have been listening to this show will go back and start making research and going through, or even um, consulting tax practitioners and those who have got knowledge on tax issues to explain to them, so that you can be able to be a tax compliant resident. Although the conversation that we're having this afternoon is not, cannot amount to financial advice, it's not a one-on-one. I would like to request you, I mean, just basic things that you can say to the listeners that they can do in order to get a benefit of reducing their tax liability.
I'll give my one, and then Nhlanhla is also going to give her one because so so the tax is not one bucket fits all. Like I can't say to everyone, go spend on like medical expenses, go increase your pension funds or whatever. It's not. It depends, on an individual. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to salaried people. I mean,
Yes.
if you'd like to reduce your pay as you earn, how you can, like, for example, if you have like medical expenses that you spent out of pocket, and then when you submit your return, you must like include them in the return, because I mean SARS they don't have that record because it's not spent on your medical aid. That can reduce your tax liability, and it can potentially put you on a refundable position, right? I know most companies have pension funds for their employees, but over and above that, people would have their retirement annuity fund on their own that they pay for with Sanlam or Momentum. Those contributions that you make every month to your Sanlam, it can also reduce your taxes. But then now I can't tell you to go get these things, because at the end of the day, you want to look at what's in the bank, what's your net income. As much as you're reducing the tax, but then when you do these things, you're reducing the money that's coming into your bank. So you need to like assess that as well. You can't be like, oh, I'm gonna do these things, contribute so much so that I reduce your tax. You reduce your tax, but at the same time, you're reducing the money that's coming into your pocket. So if there are people who like are earning more, or they have like side hustles and stuff, I would advise that they have like tax specialist, someone who's gonna guide them to say, okay, if maybe you structure your business like this, if maybe you're a director of a company and you earn dividends, or instead of a salary, this is the benefit that you can get. Okay, so like if you feel like you are that person who has like all these streams and whatever, and you want to structure your taxes properly, I would advise on tax planning and consulting with a tax professional who's going to guide you on how you can potentially reduce your tax liability.
Okay, so these things are not only for private or big companies.
No,
It can
individuals.
only be to individuals.
Yeah, like you'd have like your high net worth. For example, you look at Petrus Mutsipe, like, I mean, obviously, I mean, I know that's an extreme example, but then obviously he has a tax advisor for on an individual basis, not just for his companies. Because it's important.
Also, us as women, with the recent spark in network marketing, you find that you are making a lot of money, and you don't have anyone who is able to advise you on those type of things, which says you need someone like that. But then that leads me to my next question. What is it that should guarantee me that I'm meeting the right person in terms of what should I look out for in terms of certification as a professional?
Yeah, we know we deal with a lot of scammers out here. So, I mean, if someone comes to you and say they're a tax professional, the first thing that I would ask is the qualification. Like, what did you study? You studied accounting. Okay, good. You can help me. You studied accounting. Show me your qualification. Okay. With your tax practitioner, as a tax practitioner, you need to have a practice number, because you need to apply with SARS and then have a practice number. There are certain sites that you can use to check someone to see whether they're actually a registered tax practitioner. You can verify as much as you can check doctors to see is this person a registered doctor. With tax practitioners as well, you can also check that. But I would advise people to check qualifications before you hand over your tax matters to someone.
Because in most cases, you are giving out valuable information about yourself
A
someone
lot.
can own or someone can reuse somewhere. And
Yes.
this says to us as prudent women, we need to go out and be informed, because you can see we have a lot of scammers out there, but
Mm.
there are processes or regulations
Yeah.
that helps you to ascertain that indeed this person is qualified, and
Yes.
there are professional bodies that looks after these people. Should they
Correct.
deal with you scrupulously, you are able to have a recourse. So that says a lot. I almost missed out on this question from one of our listeners about the refund from SARS when we talk of scams. This is the season where we are getting a lot of scammers. A message being sent to you, you've got a refund. And we all want money. Once I'm promised money, it's easier for me to dish out all my information. What will you like to advise our listeners around the refund from SARS? How should I verify or be certain that this SMS that I've received is legit?
So,
Can I will advise people to register on e-filing. Like, you don't have to go to SARS, but if you have e-filing there where you can check your SARS things,
Mm,
it's easier to check whether this is legit, because SARS always send letters through the e-filing, or even on email if you have a refund or
mm,
anything that they want to talk about with you. So like, they usually don't use SMS, man. They use emails and through the e-filing. So people must um, get used to registering on e-filing so that it's easier to access their text matters.
mm, mm, mm,
So, Khanyisa, you can add.
yeah, so emphasis too, like you won't just get, like if you get, let's say, a random SMS to say you have a refund, please ignore that. Log on to your
mm,
e-filing, your account will show you whether you have a refund. So
mm,
do
mm,
not be dishing out your information to someone saying, oh, you have a refund, this is how you claim it. Do not, SARS does not operate that way. You log on to
mm.
e-filing and they will notify you there that there's a refund. Very important. And
So,
people,
yeah, no, please go ahead.
now I wanted to just clarify that these are some of the questions that I got right during the filing season. Some people just think that refunds is something that SARS just dishes out to people, and that's not how it works. It does not come from the sky. You
Mm,
literally overpaid your taxes when you were paying monthly. Now SARS is
mm,
giving you. That's your money. It does not. It does not say, "Oh, SARS has its favorite people." No,
mm,
you
mm.
overpaid. You get a refund. That's it.
What you have just said now, it helps us because, sometimes we have those who are scrupulous and who will approach individuals and say, I can do it for you and I will get more money for you and you have to pay this much.
Mm.
So you saying it's not money that comes from the sky, it's you having overpaid, says a
Yes.
lot. But then I hear one of our listeners saying, e-filing, what is e-filing? You know, I don't want us to take it for granted that some of the listeners may not have heard about e-filing. That's why you have the line at SARS always very long. What will you like to say around the issue of e-filing? What are we talking about?
If I,
So,
no, you can go.
okay. So lately, you can even on our mobile cell phones, like you can download e-filing app on your phone.
Mm,
But even on a computer, like, you can go to SARS and then say SARS e-filing, then you start registering by saying login and then says register if you don't have one.
mm,
So these days, because they actually have an app, it's easier because you know people can do WhatsApp, so you can also add e-filing app on your phone. It's the same way you adding your WhatsApp on the phone. So you just add e-filing. It's easier because it makes your life easier. No one can scam you if you have that app, because you
mm,
go in and request a statement of account to see, okay, I owe SARS.
mm,
Why?
mm, mm,
Then if you don't understand it, so you get assistant. Maybe you go to SARS, or you get someone who understands these text issues
mm, mm.
to help you. Yes.
Wow, we cannot thank you enough. You've given us a lot of information around tax issues, but what I see is you have allayed our fears. We were fearful, of tax, not understanding what it's all about. But today we understand that it's important, it's a law, you cannot run away from it. You have to do it. If you don't do it, you are committing a fraud and you can be charged. And we all know that fraud is a very serious offense. And we have also found out that you doing your assessments also assist you to make sure that you verify the information together with SARS. And at the end of the day, you know your things are well. Because whether you want it or not, even if you can run away, that time that is appointed to men to die, when it comes, SARS will want to do a final statement where you have to pay your final taxes. And unfortunately, it takes care of everything that has happened around you. And we agreed in this program that we are prudent women and we are intentional and we care about our loved ones. I do not believe there's anyone who wants to leave their loved ones with an unpleasant experience of having to deal with SARS, having to pay monies over to SARS, or having to have their properties surrendered to SARS just because we failed to be compliant or to take these things serious about the issues of tax. Thank you so much, says Nhlanhla and says Khanyisa. As you bid our listeners farewell, please also share with us, more special, says Nhlanhla, to say where can they reach you if they would like to use your services as a tax practitioner. Says Nhlanhla.
They can reach me on 083 4541 353. 083 4541 353. And also Khanyisa,
Thank you.
she's also a tax practitioner, so they can to give them her numbers too. Yeah.
Okay. Both tax practitioners. You heard it, all our listeners. These young ladies are available to assist us. If you have any question or you need someone to assist you, because we should not take it for granted that everyone can do it on the e-filing. But if you desire to get assistance, more especially for those who are doing side hustles, you can get in touch with them. Sesi Khanyisa, as you bid farewell to our viewers and listeners, please share with us how can they reach you.
So I'm available for people who have LinkedIn. My name is Khanyisa Makhubela. That's my name on LinkedIn. They can reach me there, or they can contact me on 066 475 3332.
Thank you very much. I would like to believe all of you who are listening to this show, you have benefited so much. I have benefited. I've become prudent in my financial matters, more especially on my tax issues. I will make sure everything is well in place before I depart this world. There is no way I will leave my loved ones with complicated tax matters. But on an annual basis, as SARS gives me an opportunity to sort my mess, I will make sure that I sort it out and hand over a good estate to my beneficiaries in the future, who are my loved ones. Thank you very much for joining us. This was Prudent Woman with myself. I'm RHULANI BALOYI. We come to you every Sunday from 4 o'clock up until 5 o'clock. And this is Bold Moves Radio. As we bid farewell, you remember this afternoon we've got Pastor Fridama Tebula, our beloved pastor, our favorite pastor. She's coming in with the Living Word Outreach Program. She's coming in at 5:30. And on Tuesday, we've got the African Experience. I would like to believe you are learning a lot, because I am learning a lot from Bold Moves Radio. And of course, the radio is on every day throughout the day. You are welcome to tune in on the streaming, on Bold Move Streaming. Thank you very much for joining us, and we would like to say thank you so much to our technical team, DJ Messi. Thank you for bringing forth this Prudent Woman this afternoon. And to our executive producer, Pastor Strike Mangani, thank you very much. Have a blessed and a wonderful afternoon, even as we wait for the Living Word Outreach Program with our favorite pastor, Pastor Frida Matebula. Have a blessed evening.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
Streaming 24/7. 24/7.
Bold Moves Radio.
Bold Moves Radio.
Afrika nakupenda sana, oh Afrika nakupenda sana.